everyone, Auntie Tambarambaa or Tammy Porter with you again today. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Today I'm going to create another fun little page in my mini art journal. So I'll take you through what I've used. I've used the gorgeous new rainbow washi tape. I've used the cute little birdie luxury paper elements. Haven't used them yet, so today's the day. I also used the Quotylicious quotes. I used some of the markers. I used sticky glue. I use lots of paint colours, so Lace, Happy, Ballet, Mermaid, probably my favourites. And then I've used Breeze, Police, Funky and Hot Curry. And then I've also used the new stencil called, what's it called? Deco Waves, which is like rainbows, and the Frantic Deco stencil. And this page is in my little mini, these little white art journals that Marlene brought out. And there's a large and a small, and this is the small. And I use it, I've been doing all different animals in it. So you saw a few of them there. And each page has a different animal. So I thought I wanted to take the luxury paper elements, the birdies, for a spin. So I thought this is the perfect little book to do it in, because it'll go with the whole theme. And I hadn't used this stencil yet, the wave one or rainbows, and so I thought, well, let's use that as well. Okay, so I've started with Police. I'm using the Police, which is like a dark blue, almost navy acrylic paint, and I've got one of the artist sponges, and I've just wet the artist sponge and then wrung it out, and you'll notice when you do that they will sort of double in size, or maybe not quite double, but they grow, and then they're a really nice consistency for doing your stenciling. So I'm just popping the stencil down and putting some of the paint on the sponge and sponging it through, but I did move the stencil around a little bit just to create a little bit of a background. I was thinking of the little birdie being up on some rainbows up in the sky, so I kind of had to move the stencil just to make the rainbows kind of fit properly. And then you might have noticed I actually cleaned a stencil. That never happens. I think because it's brand new, I didn't want to wreck it, so I just cleaned it. Okay, so every now and then I bring the little birdie back and work out where he's going to stand. And I've taken the inspiration for the colours for this one from his little wings. He's got little boots on and a beanie and a scarf, and then he's got little pink wings, and there's pink and orange in there, so, and a little touch of mint. So I've come in and I've used a Breeze, and I put that down in 3 places, and then I've used Hot Curry, which I did mix with a little bit of lace, the white, just to soften it a little bit, and then I used Ballet, and finally a little bit of Happy, just to fill in the gaps. So I basically just put it straight onto the page. I didn't pre-gesso. I'm working straight onto the journal. And with these journals, because they do have a bit of a shiny surface, you do need to make sure that you dry really well your pages, like your layers of paint, before you come in with your next one, because if you don't, you can lift off some of the paint underneath, just because it has a bit of a shiny surface. So you can gesso to prevent that, but if you dry in between, you'll be okay as well. And just be careful when you're using a heat gun on these albums. They do have glue in the spine, so if you heat it too much in the center, it will melt the glue and your book may fall apart. So I just concentrate using it on the sides and not in the center part, and my books have been totally fine. Okay, so I came in with some reductive stenciling, which is just adding a bit of paint color down onto the background layer that I'd done, and then using a baby wipe to pull off through the stencil, and you get the lovely mark. So I'll use the Frantic Deco and that gorgeous little screeny kind of section that I like. And I've just repeated that with a lot of the colours that were already in the paints that I've used, but I also then came in with some mermaid as well. I just felt like the background needed a bit of oomph, and these colours together look beautiful. So once I added the mermaid, I was really happy with that. Okay, then I decide that because my rainbows have quite a bit of that dark navy in them, the police colour, I need to add a little tiny bit of that into my background just so it all works and it's cohesive. So I'm just adding a little bit to 3 of the edges, and I do pull a little bit back with stenciling, but I also add a little bit just so it looks like shadowing. And you don't want stenciling in your whole background. You want to have some little solid patches of paint as well. It's just a bit of a layering and more of an artsy look, I think it gives it. Okay, so once I've done that and dried off the background, I grab out my oh, actually, first I did a couple of marks as well, just with a brush, as I like to do, just with the mermaid in a few spots. And now I grab the rainbow washi tape, which is really beautiful. I do find you have to peel this washi tape really carefully because of the scallops. It's just because of the shape that you do need to not be in a hurry, just be slow and steady with pulling it out. Okay, so I put them along the bottom just to hide the bottom bit of the stenciling that, you know, didn't look quite finished. So now it's all gone. So now I've just come in with a little bit of the markers. There's a navy, like a dark blue marker in Marlene's markers. And I'm just tidying up some of that stenciling work a little bit with that. And then I do wet a brush because it was a bit severe, so I just softened it a little bit with some water on a brush. And now I'm just filling in those rainbows with the colours that I have used in the background. So I used some yellow markers, I used some pink markers, I used some turquoise markers, and now I've got some orange, and I'm just filling in the white gaps. And I do need to go over some of them a couple of times. And then I add a few little details with markers as well. So a few little hearts and little dots and dashes, and it starts to really come together at this point. Okay, I bring my little birdie back and I'm happy with how the background is looking. I decided to add a little bit of the pale pink marker just with some mark making in the background. And I'm again still just doing some extra details in the rainbows. Okay, now I just grab a black pen. It's just a fine black pen, and I'm just going around those rainbow shapes and the rainbow washi just to give it a bit more of a scribbly and artsy feel. And then I add a few little hearts to those, to the washi tape as well. And again, it's just adding in details. So this time I've got a white gel pen and I'm just doing a few dots and dashes and highlights here and there. And you'll see me go over things a few times, and that's just because as sometimes the markers dry, I just feel like it needs another coat. So that's what I do. And then I kind of felt like the hearts I'd put on the washi had got a bit lost, so I just add white to brighten that up. And now because I added white into my foreground, I want to add a bit of white into my background as well. So I'm just using some white paint, so the lace paint, just to do a few bits of mark making. And I don't go all over, just in 3 sort of sections. Now I worked out here where I wanted my birdie and just filled in the gaps once I decided where I wanted him. See, look, I'm being careful here. I'm nearly going all over the background, but I did stop just in time. Okay, a little bit more mark making, and I think this time I used the Funky, which is the hot pink neon paint, and I've just sort of brightened up a few areas with that. Now I'm sort of working out my quote, and I see this one that says colour influences your soul. And I think I've talked about in a couple of videos that in Australia we spell colour with a U in it, and a lot of people responded that they do too. So I think it's the USA that uses colour missing a U, in my opinion. But because of that, I decide to cut the colour off, and I will write that in myself using the markers. So I began with white, with a white marker, and just drew out colour as a bit of a base, and now I'm coming in with some of the other markers, same colours that are in the page, and just going over the top a couple of times. It's a little bit hard to see, so I then go around it with that black pen just to make it stand out. And now spelling it correctly with the U in there, and then adding a few highlights again with the white pen. And then I will stick the rest of my quote on, so it will say colour influences your soul. And I just pop the bit of the quotes. These are from the Luxury Quotylicious quotes, just over that large rainbow in the background. Just going over a couple of bits again. I think that pale pink just needs a few coats to really stand out. And now it's time to add my little birdie, cute little guy in. So I go around, I stick him on, and I've gone around the quotes as well with some scribbly lines. So I've stuck him down, and then I just want to put a little bit of shadow around sort of one side of him. And so I do that with, I use the police again, the navy that I've used for the rainbows, because I thought, well, that will go really well. And I just pop a little bit of a shadow, and then I start adding a little bit extra to his wings. So I've used the orange, and I bring in the turquoise to him, so adding a little bit on his beanie, a little bit on his feathers, and on his wings as well, and just to tie that all together. And then I do the same with a bit of pink, and I think it just makes him look like he belongs on the page just by adding a bit of what I've put into the background onto him as well. And I think we're nearly done. Just a little bit of highlighting again with the white pen. Yep, that is it. So I will leave you with lots and lots of close-ups. You'll get to see the stenciling, you'll get to see the rainbows, and the colours are beautiful. So fun little page today. I hope it's inspired you. I'd love to hear from you. If you don't subscribe, I'd love you to subscribe so that more people can find my art. Thanks so much, everyone. I appreciate you being here. Bye.